And for more on this, we're now joined by Chief Executive Officer of the South African Institute of Tax Professionals, Professor Keith Engel, and he joins us via our video link. Mr. Engel, thank you so much for joining us this evening here in SABC News. Perhaps let's start off here. I mean, we have seen that Kieswetter's tenure will now be extended by another 2 years. And what are your thoughts where we find ourselves now with this extension?
Well, look, I think he's been a good commissioner. I think the president has been quite happy with him. And I think the bottom line is that's one department that's actually beginning to work. So he's done quite a bit in his time. I mean, they've got a lot of challenges ahead, but has done a lot. And I think it also shows that the president is most likely leaning toward getting some internal people to move up. So he wants Kieswetter to stay a little bit longer in the hopes that they will have a professional underneath to be groomed, which I think is good news. We really need professionals in SARS, not political people.
And some would say it's good news, and some would also say that maybe this is also poor planning because they knew that the term of office is going to end in 5 years. What is your thoughts on that?
Look, I'm not sure if that's poor planning. You can only plan so much. I mean, I guess anybody can always say something negative, but also they may have wanted to keep him longer all along, and that was all they could get. So he has done quite a lot. I wouldn't criticize government for that. I think that's being childish.
And how would you characterize his tenure? I mean, he did take over from Tom Moyane. And of course, we do understand how SARS was under his leadership. How would you characterize his 5 years as commissioner?
Well, I think it began with also Mark King in there, but I think the two of them, and I think Kieswetter has done quite a lot. So the commissioner has done quite a lot. I think there's always a lot of challenges. I'm not saying things are perfect, but he certainly brought it out of the Manani era. And I think, I think the organization is stronger than it is when it was under the Gordon era. I think one of the things that he's done that others have not done is he tried to expand the tax base to go after the wholesale illegal. You see it in the cigarettes, you see it in a number of other areas where we're not just going after the same people over and over again, but we're trying to expand the tax base. Now, part of his problem is the economy is much weaker. You can only do so much in a bad economy, but the direction is right. The question is, how far can he keep going? The big issue he's been pushing is IT, which I think can do quite a bit, but IT by itself needs cooperation from other government departments, and we'll see whether he gets it.
And when it comes to the successes of SARS, maybe let's chat more about that. What do you make of his successes as the commissioner for SARS?
Well, as I said, I think what you've seen is a lot of the complaints have died down. I mean, there's still issues, but there always is. Issues like the VAT refunds have improved a lot. They're not perfect. There's still problem areas, but that's improved quite a bit. You've seen the Revenue Service now becoming much more active in audit. Some people say it's a little bit too active, but generally they've been auditing effectively. Their cases they take to the court. They seem to be winning those. And again, I think the thing that he takes pride on is trying to push on the third-party data. They've moved quite a bit in that direction, and the question is, can they go further? But there has been a number of things, and he's also reorganized the structure to get it moving again. There are areas where there are problems. For example, taxpayers still want better access to human beings. Sometimes you can go too far with IT.
And what else can he do better? I know that that's something that a number of South Africans have pointed out, saying that, the use of technology, sometimes people would just want to do a normal walk-in. What else can he do to improve the service for the next 2 years?
Look, I think the one thing is you need some people on the ground to be more accessible. Now, they're starting to be more accessible again, but there was a decision made back about 10, 20 years ago, back under the Gordon era, that you want everything channeled to call centers. And that's just not effective. There are things that you can take to a call center because that's more administrative and minor, but there comes a point you want access to technical people. And I think they need to bring that back again. And that was a decision made a long time ago that needs to be reversed. Other issues are they need a bit more people on the ground. Part of the problem is funding again. So everybody's making cuts and it's hard to get the funding. So that's a challenge also, but you do need people to be accessible, to be more available in order to resolve issues. Technology can only go so far. But again, one of the things that has been effective for them is a better use of technology. So again, they're seeing a lot. They're seeing a lot of third-party corroborating data, and that means they're picking up a lot of people who are falsifying returns. And it's important that we get those people who basically are lying on the returns or simply not coming forward at all.
And as SARS now looks at, or the presidency looks at replacing Mr. Kieswetter in the next 2 years, what kind of person should be taking over from him?
Well, I think what you need is somebody who's good at administration. Really, when it comes to running SARS, it's not just about technical skills. You really need to make sure that you have somebody who is able to run an organization. So you need a combination of management skills and technical skills, and that's what he has. And if we keep that up, I think we'll be in very good shape. And somebody who's strong enough, who's able to listen and go after real targets and not false ones. So I think he brought together some of those skills, and quite to his effect, and hopefully somebody like him will follow. And I think he has some good deputies there, and they're people speaking highly of, and I think one of them perhaps should be the best choice.
All right, then, Professor, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts on, of course, that extension we are seeing from the presidency, and that comes to the Commissioner for the South African Revenue Service. His tenure has been extended for another 2 years. That is Professor Keith Engel. He is the CEO of the South African Institute of Tax Professionals.